Welcome to Random Radio. I'm your host, David Bolander, and thank you guys for listening in. So, I have a quick question. So, has there ever been that one thing that you guys just forgot to do, or that you just didn't get around to doing because you had other stuff going on? Like, there was this one thing that you really wanted to do, or that you kind of wish that you would have done, but there was other stuff going on, right? And so you never did it. Like, for example, picking up a new hobby, like picking up an instrument, for example. In case you can't tell, today we're going to be talking about my experiences in picking up the guitar. Because if you don't know, I play guitar minimally, but I still do play it. But anyway, so let's start at the very beginning. Okay, I can't remember the exact age I was when I got my first guitar, but I think it was for like a Christmas present, and I got like a guitar learning book for it. And basically, I held on to that for about 2 weeks, and then I just kind of gave up on it because I was like, well, this isn't fun and it hurts my fingers super bad. So I didn't do it for like 5 years. But then starting my freshman year of high school, actually no, the summer before my freshman year in high school, I think. That was the year my parents were like, hey, do you want to get back into guitar? And I was like, let's do it. Let's just try it out, because why not? And so my dad and my stepmom decided, and I'm very grateful for this. They decided to pay for a little bit of money for an app that would teach me guitar, basically. That's the gist of it. And it was called Musician, and it's still around. And honestly, it taught me really well the basics, and just like, here's how you do things here, and it gave me stuff to practice on, right? And with things like guitar, and for like picking up any instrument, in reality, the best way to learn how to do something is to just do it. do it wrong. Do it wrong plenty of times, and then eventually you'll figure out how to do it better. Because most of it is just muscle memory and just getting your fingers used to the guitar, or getting your fingers or your hands or your arms or your lungs used to whatever instrument you're trying to play. That's my experience, is that the best way to learn how to play an instrument is to actually play it, and to play it very badly. And, like, don't actively go out and try to play it badly, but just accept the fact that, well, you're not going to be absolutely amazing at it the first time you do it. Also, something else to take into consideration: it is going to be very physically taxing to pick up an instrument. Okay, I remember when I first picked up a guitar, and in fact, my fingers still hurt when I pick up the guitar today. But for guitar, it hurts your fingers really bad because you have to build up like super thick calluses, because you're pushing down on metal strings with a surprising amount of force, right? And that hurts, and that just takes some getting used to, right? And eventually it becomes like bearable. But what I'd recommend for that, like if you're worried about, or if like you feel like you can't go any farther, take a break. It's okay. Like, it's, when you start off, you're not going to have those calluses pre-built into your fingers, or you're not going to have the air capacity if you're doing like a woodwind or something, right? Like, you're not naturally going to be good at it, and you're not naturally going to, have everything you need to do it at the beginning, right? But yeah, that's my other big recommendation, is just, if you need a break, take a break. like seriously though, take a break. But I will say, like, even if you're taking a break for the rest of the day, right? Like, by all means, take a break, but just make sure that you get back onto it either like the next day, or even if you have to wait a week because it's like, my fingers hurt so bad and they're sore, then like, yeah, wait a week. Wait a week and then you can play again, right? But most of it is just building up your calluses and getting, muscle memory in, right? Or whatever equivalent it is for the instrument that you're playing. But then, yeah. So back to the story, basically, after I finished that summer up, and I had been using Musician for, I think, most of the summer, if I remember right, and then I actually used it for quite a bit into the school year, if I remember right. I probably didn't, but I don't know. I have terrible memory, but anyway, I used that for quite a while. And then so my high school, it offers guitar classes. And so during my freshman year of high school, I decided, you know what, let's just try it, right? let's just do it. And so that's what I did. I signed up for the guitar class, and you know what? We all sucked together. We were all terrible together. And honestly, that was a very good experience because that gave me, like face to face experience with a teacher, right? And the teacher could then give me tips and tricks and just little things that were just like, oh yeah, this is gonna make it just that little bit easier. And so what I'd say is that like once you're feeling like once you're into it and you're feeling like, yeah, this is something that I would actually like to continue on, right? Like I'd recommend first starting off maybe with books, but honestly, books are probably, in my opinion, books are the worst way to learn an instrument because books won't tell you you're putting your fingers in the wrong spot. Well, they're gonna tell you, put them close, like for guitar, a book will tell you, put your finger when you're pushing down on a fret, put it as close to the next fret as possible, but still keep it within, and make sure that you're putting lots of pressure on it. That's very vague, and most books don't get more specific on that, right? Unless you're willing to buy a $500 million book. But I don't know. I'd recommend trying to find some way that you can, get face to face with somebody. Even if it's somebody who doesn't know how to play guitar, then just be like, "Hey, can you tell me what you think would like can you give me a little bit of advice?" Or just like, "What do you think is wrong?" Right? Even if they don't know how to play guitar, just doing it in front of somebody and just bouncing ideas off of them really helps. But then, if you figure out, oh yeah, this is something I really do want to get into, I'd recommend taking a class, whether that be through your local high school, going through your high school, going through college, going through a hired teacher. I have lots of friends, or I have a few friends. Speaking of which, I'll try to remember this, but I've got something to say about one of my friends. Anyway, I have a few friends who play guitar and who are amazing. They're way better than I am, especially since they've been doing it for like 4 years, and or probably actually more than that. Yeah, probably way more than that. I know one of them has been doing it since like elementary school, but that's besides the point. But anyway, so I don't know, getting in somewhere and getting a teacher that knows what they're doing, right? And then they can give you advice and they can just give you the little things that you wouldn't have learned through like a book or through YouTube or through Musician. Even like Musician, then it was still recorded videos that were playing, and it couldn't really tell me like, oh yeah, you're getting this vibraty sound because you're applying too much pressure, or you're on top of the fret bar, not behind it, right? Or like, oh, you're too far into the middle of the fret, right? And there isn't really anything to do that. There isn't anything to give you little tweaks through your just style, And so I'd recommend, if you're really thinking about doing it, go to like a teacher. I don't, it doesn't matter where, but find somebody who knows what they're doing and is willing to teach you to do it, right? Like no matter what instrument that is. And I'm using guitar as an example because that's what I know how to play. But like as I'm learning how to use my voice more in like choir and stuff, and as I've been learning with choir, right? I remember I had my first ever choir teacher. She was super unresponsive to like anything because we were younger than middle school, so it makes sense. But I remember that she was super unresponsive, just would not help us very much, like much at all. And so I didn't really enjoy that choir. And so then I was kind of nervous when I was like, oh, you know what? In sixth grade, I signed up for choir through all of seventh grade. I'm going to hate this. But as it turns out, having a teacher that is actually responsive to you, and my middle school and my high school experience with choir has been much better. In just that, like, the teacher really just knows what they're doing, and they help you out in what, like, oh yeah, you're getting this weird, very light, like too light of a sound, and so try to give it a little bit more oomph, or try to give it a little bit more of this, or a little bit more of that, or a little bit less even, or try to round out your vowels, or something like that, right? These are things that you wouldn't have just learned on your own, right? Like, yeah, you can Google and you can YouTube all you want, but like, there are certain things that it just cannot teach you, and that YouTube and stuff cannot replace in teaching. there's just a little bit too much. But yeah, my main point, as I've said multiple times this episode, just if you're thinking about getting into something, you know, get a teacher. Like, you can spend a little bit of extra cash if you're really wanting to do it, right? And then the other thing, and honestly, the best, in my opinion, the best practice is not necessarily, like, it is definitely repetition, but I mean, like, if you're struggling to figure out, oh, what do I play for practice? Like, how do I practice, right? Because you know how, like, in choir, then you have things, then you do scales. On piano, you do scales. On other instruments, you can do scales, and they're definitely helpful. But I mean, like, you know, they're not the end all be all, right? Like, they're nice and all, but they're not the absolute best thing that you can do. And in my opinion, the best thing you can do is practice that one song you wanted to learn, right? I spent 6 months learning my first song on guitar. Well, the first song that I had memorized and that I could sing along to and that I wanted to play, right? I spent 6 months on that because I didn't know how to do diddly squat on that. Um, but, you know, just know that it will take effort, but it won't take as much effort as you think. Here's here's the thing about that, okay? You can put in as much effort as you want. If you're doing it consistently, it doesn't matter how much effort, how much work you're actually putting into it. If you practice for 5 minutes a day, you will eventually learn the song. You know, it doesn't matter how much time you put in per day. It doesn't, like, I don't know, like, even now, I don't consistently play guitar. Like, heck no. Heck no, I don't. Whenever I feel like playing, then I can play it, but that's just because of muscle memory, and I can hardly I have a hard time learning new songs, but you know, like, I play inconsistently and I'm still doing okay, right? I just, like, do it multiple times within a month. Or if you're beginning, do it multiple times within a week. That's my recommendation. Like, set days that you're going to practice and days that you will not practice, right? That's one thing I did not like about things like track and cross country, is that they want you to work every day except Sunday. And other teams from other cities, they would literally practice every single day. And in my opinion, then that's very bad for you. Because then you don't get a second to step back and to look at it and to be kind of retrospective and just be like, oh, I could improve upon this thing because as I'm looking at it, then, you know, it's like this. But I think that it should be like this. And so then you try stuff out, right? And that's very good. That's a good thing. Um, but that's, I don't know. Like, if you're practicing, don't be discouraged that you don't learn things right away, right? Because you're not there. That's the reason why you're practicing it, is because you don't know it right away. And so that then your fingers can get used to, oh yeah, this is how this is supposed to go. Or, you know, or this is where I'm supposed to apply this much oxygen or this much air, you know? And that goes, from what I can tell, and from my experience with hobbies, that goes with every hobby, right? Like, with programming, the best way to learn it, just do it, and then don't be discouraged that it's not going to work. And honestly, I don't know, like, yeah, I watched a 3 hour video on YouTube on how to program, but the real thing that really helped me get along, and this is with every hobby I've ever done, is just doing it. Just doing it the first time really helps, and it gets you thinking in the right way, right? Like guitar, then you need to think, oh yeah, it goes this specific way, right? And you understand that more. You understand what that means more. And in programming, then you start to understand, like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to think about this, or oh yeah, this function does this other thing, right? Like, you know, I don't know. As yeah, yeah. If you're looking to get into a hobby, get started on it right away. Is my other recommendation. Just get started on it right away, because you know, if you wait even 3 minutes, like I catch myself doing this all the time, where I'm like, you know what, let's try this thing out on the guitar, and I'm like, and then I literally wait 3 minutes and I don't feel motivated to do it anymore. And so I'd recommend, if you're motivated to do something, do it right then. Right? Like, of course, if you're at work or if you're at school, don't do it right then, but like, if you're motivated at home to do something, do it. It doesn't matter how much effort it will take in the future, just do it, and then your brain gets caught into it. That's what I've noticed, is that, like, if you commit yourself to something, it's like a jump, right? If you're jumping through the air, and like you could say like, oh yeah, I'm not going to make this jump all the way over the log, right? I'm not going to end up jumping all the way. Then you're not going to ever end up trying to jump, right? But then you want to try, right? And so then what I'd recommend is basically just turning off the part of your brain that says, this is a bad idea, you should not do this, right? Turn off that part of your brain until you're in the air, right? Like, do your run, make your jump, and as you're jumping, then you can turn that part of your brain back on, and then it can be like, oh shoot, we're doing it. And then that part of your brain can actually function and do what it's supposed to do, and that, like, keeping you alive, right? And that's what I'd recommend with literally everything that you would like to do, right? If you want to do something, do it right then, and turn off that part of your brain that says, oh, that's going to be too much work. Because the reality of the situation is, it's probably not going to be that much work, right? Like guitar, I practice for 5 minutes once a week. I do it as inconsistently as it gets. But when I feel motivated to do it, I do it because that's the time that I'm going to have a good time. And that's the times where I'm going to actually want to keep doing it, right? And of course, I've had better weeks than others, but I do try to do it. I do try to keep up with a hobby at least once a week, and I just try to force myself into it about that often. And that's what works for me. And that doesn't work for everybody, of course, but I mean, that's what works for me, and that's what works for people I know. But I do know other people who, like, they need at least 15 minutes every day, or they need at least an hour every day, or, like, I don't know. For me, then I can do it more consistently. But, and honestly, that's another big thing about hobbies is that if you're looking to pick up a hobby, do something that works for you, okay? Because if you look it up and somebody says, oh, but you gotta practice for at least 3 hours every day, they're lying to you, okay? And like, it doesn't matter. Like, even if you're only practicing for 5 minutes every day, or even 5 minutes a week, I do, it doesn't really matter. Like, you put in as much effort as you would like to do, and as much effort as works for you, right? I don't know. Those are my experiences with, if you want to pick up a hobby like me with guitar, then those are my recommendations. Just like, do it, just do it, right? Get it done. Repetition is key, right? And then, I can't even remember. It's been 17 minutes and it's like 9:30, and I had a long weekend, and I've had a long couple months. But yeah, those are my recommendations. Oh yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to talk about. So this coming Monday, I might be posting a video. It depends on a friend of mine. He said that he's very busy, okay? He's very, very busy, and if he's off this week because it's Thanksgiving break, he said that he might be off this week. And so, if he is, you guys will get an episode probably next Monday, right? 1 week from when this episode goes out. But yeah, that's probably when that'll go out. And you'll see his name right in the title, I'm sure. If I remember to put it in there. Last time, I'm phrasing my words very poorly, but I can't even remember. Sorry. I can't remember what I was going to say, but my friend might be on the podcast this next week, and you guys will get an extra episode this month. So watch out for that next week. Be on the lookout for it, and if it doesn't end up getting posted, then he probably wasn't busy, or he was probably busy, and I understand that, right? But anyway, I hope you guys have a good night, day, whenever you're watching this, or listening to this, rather, because this is a podcast, not a YouTube video, or, it's not a video, it's an audio file, and I might actually, next year, what I might do, or once we reach, like, a specific subscriber goal, maybe, or follower goal or whatever, then I might start doing video podcasts, and we'll see about that. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good time. And I would love to hear in the comments, what you guys want to hear, right? I asked this in the last episode, but what are a couple of things that you guys would like to hear about, and what would you guys like me to talk about, or like what would you guys like, not necessarily advice because I'm no expert in any field yet, but if you guys want advice, or me to talk about something, just stick it in the comments, stick it in. I'm probably going to put a poll or like something for Spotify. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, I apologize. I apologize, you guys. Your platform is just kind of a pain to deal with sometimes. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good time until next time. You guys are listening to Random Radio, and I'm David Bolander. See you later.